Now, India called out Pakistan's grossly hypocritical behavior at the UN Security Council, saying a nation that makes no distinction between terrorists and civilians has no credentials to speak about protecting the civilians. New Delhi highlighted that the Pakistani army deliberately shelled Indian border villages earlier this month, killing civilians and intentionally targeted places of worship. Speaking at the UNSC open debate on the protection of civilians in armed conflict, India's permanent representative to the UN ambassador Parvatneni Harish accused Islamabad of lacking the moral authority to address civilian protection, citing its track record of sponsoring terrorism and targeting civilians.
India has experienced decades of Pakistani-sponsored terrorist attacks across our borders. This has ranged from the horrific 26/11 attack on the city of Mumbai to the barbaric mass murder of innocent tourists in Pahalgam in April 2025. Pakistan has repeatedly used a civilian cover to advance the cause of terrorism. We just recently saw senior government, police and military officials pay respects at the funeral of noted terrorists targeted by Operation Sindoor. A nation that makes no distinction between terrorists and civilians has no credentials to speak about protecting civilians. There was intentional targeting of places of worship, including gurudwaras, temples and convents, as well as medical facilities. To preach at this body after such behavior is grossly hypocritical. Let us be clear. Protection of civilians should not serve as an argument for protection of UN-designated terrorists.
India also ripped through Pakistan's disinformation at the UN on the Indus Water Treaty, asserting that Islamabad violated its spirit by inflicting 3 wars and thousands of terror attacks on India.
India entered into the Indus Water Treaty 65 years ago in good faith. The preamble of the treaty describes that the treaty was concluded in a spirit of goodwill and friendship. Throughout the 6.5 decades, Pakistan has violated the spirit of the treaty by inflicting 3 wars and thousands of terror attacks on India. However, Pakistan has continued to block consistently any changes to this infrastructure and any modifications of the provisions which is permissible under the treaty. In fact, in 2012, terrorists even attacked the Tulbul navigation project in Jammu and Kashmir. These cynical acts continue to endanger safety of our projects and lives of civilians. It is against this backdrop that India has finally announced that the treaty will be in abeyance until Pakistan, which is a global epicenter of terror, credibly and irrevocably ends its support for cross-border terrorism.